Welcome back. This is part 2 of flavored sugars in magical work. In part 1, we established that flavored sugars can be used in magical work, and I started going into what flavored sugars can be used for. The first thing that I proposed was that flavored sugars can be used in working sugar jars, and I gave you a crash course in how I would do a sugar jar. Again, there are many methods. Different practitioners will vary slightly in how they go about it. And now, in this video, I want to continue proposing other things that you can do with flavored sugars. Other things we could do with flavored sugars are sprinkling flavored sugars in intention-appropriate infusions over candles we're working. For example, a lavender flavored sugar would nicely complement a healing candle in that it would further enforce it with energies of healing and sweetness. Sweetness can also be equated with love, and we all know that love is positive, love is healing. I also like the idea of using flavored sugars in herbal teas or in morning coffee to bring certain desired qualities into our lives. For example, star anise flavored sugar can be added to a psychic center opening tea because, among other things, star anise opens psychic centers. Furthermore, flavored sugars can be used in general kitchen witchery, in the creation of various enchanted foods that we can eat or that we can share with others to bring desired qualities into our own lives or into the lives of those we serve our enchanted meals to. Those things considered. Those are pretty much the extent of my ideas of what you could potentially do with flavored sugars, but I'm sure that if you think about flavored sugar in magical workings, you could probably come up with some other ideas. Open your mind, let yourself get creative. Now, flavored sugars, you can buy them pre-made, which is rather convenient, or you can make your own. Recently at my job, I came across some vanilla flavored sugar pre-made, and I bought it, and I also bought some rose flavored sugar. These taste really good. I've tasted them both. They're really, really nice. Vanilla is good for example, money. It's also good for comfort. It's good for love, among other things. There are other properties, but those are some that I know off the top of my head. Rose is good for beauty, love, blessings, among other things. Yeah. So, and I got an idea recently too. I also found this rose water flavoring essence, and I thought, wouldn't it be great to use these two and to make some rose sugar cookies? That would be very cool to spread love. You know, anybody that I could serve up the cookies to, I could kind of spread love. And if I did, let's say with vanilla extract and the vanilla sugar, if I made vanilla sugar cookies, I could spread prosperity, I could spread comfort, I could spread love. There's a lot of things you can do with flavored sugars. You can buy them like this, pre-made. A lot of manufacturers will sell pre-made flavored sugars. You can look at various culinary stores. If you Google online, I'm sure you can just look up flavored sugars or flavored sugar, and a lot of different places that sell flavored sugar will come up. I bought these at Marshall's. Marshall's carries overstock though, so you're not really guaranteed you're definitely going to find these all the time. You may luck out and find these in a Marshall's or a Home Goods or a TJ Maxx. And in this next segment, I'm going to show you how to make your own flavored sugars, because I can't make this video and make it well if I don't show you how to make your own sugar. I mean, I mentioned you can make your own sugar, but I want to show you how to make your own sugar. So in the next segment, we're going to cover that, okay? I want to make my own lavender infused powdered sugar because I have a really nice shortbread recipe. And I would like to make that shortbread recipe using lavender sugar, and it calls for powdered sugar rather than granular sugar. So I think I'm going to make enough lavender powdered sugar that I could at least do 2 batches of cookies. I don't want to make too much because then if I feel that I don't happen to like the flavor, then I'm stuck with all that lavender sugar. But I have read around online that supposedly lavender sugar is really nice. So I'm going to hope that this works very well with the powdered sugar. And I will be updating this video to let you know in a few weeks if this was a success. So anyhow, the first step in making an herbally infused sugar. Now you can do this absolutely with granulated sugar. I'm going to try it with powdered sugar because I want to see if this will work just as nicely. I'm sure it will. So you need sugar. However much. You're going to also need a nice jar with a nice lid, you know, because you're going to have to put your sugar and your herbs in there, you know, to let it infuse. And you're going to need, if it's not already powdered, your herb, you're going to need your trusty mortar and pestle. I'm going to grab a paper plate because I already ground the lavender up, and I want to show you the consistency. It almost looks a little bit like how sage kind of starts, it sort of clumps up a little bit, but it's a little more fine now. I just kind of, you know, I just powdered up my lavender so that it would go nicely into the sugar, not be the whole flowers that you see here. I wanted it a bit finer. So my recipe for shortbread cookies calls for a 1/4 cup of powdered sugar. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to open up my tied up bag of powdered sugar. Please excuse me while I wrestle with this knot. Oh, jeez. Sorry, folks. I got a little overzealous in trying to protect my sugar from dirt and dust and all kind of stuff. I tied it in a nice knot, but I got it out. I got the knot out. Okay. And now I'm going to take my 1/4 cup measuring cup. Oh, you know what? Let me do this over a paper plate. And I could kind of make the paper plate sort of into a funnel. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to put this into the bag while I grab my paper plate because I don't want to make a mess all over the place. Okay, so I'm going to do double. I need 1/4 cup for this recipe that I want to do when my sugar is infused. So I'm going to put 2 1/4 cups or 1/2 cup here onto my paper plate. Okay. So I got a half a cup of powdered sugar. That's enough for me to do 2 batches of these cookies. So if I like this lavender sugar, I can do this twice. But if I don't like it, I haven't used up all of my powdered sugar. Okay, so that's step 1. And then step 2, we're going to take the herb that we want to infuse into the powdered sugar, or if it's granulated sugar, it'll be granulated sugar. And I'm just going to guesstimate here because I've looked around online and people's amounts kind of vary. I'm just going to put a decent amount. I want to say that's probably like a tablespoon. Maybe like, let me see, that's probably like a tablespoon, and then there's like a little bit left. I'm just going to dump it all in there. So let's say like, I'm going to say maybe 1.5 tablespoons, because I really didn't measure out my lavender, to be honest. And then what I'm going to do, my hands are washed. I washed them before doing this video, I promise you. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of mix up my sugar and my herb. So I'm going to mix my lavender and my sugar super, super, super well. Oh, this smells so lovely. I can smell the lavender. Oh, it smells so good. I'm just going to mix, mix, mix really, really, really good. Smells just delightful. I bet you this is going to be so, so, so tasty. And again, you can do this with granulated sugar. This doesn't have to be powdered sugar. I'm doing powdered sugar because I plan to do shortbread cookies. Oh, smells so good. And a nice thing about lavender is lavender tends to promote harmony. So if you're trying to promote a peaceful atmosphere, let's say at your job there's someone who's really, really getting under your skin, and you're trying for them to not be such an annoying mofo, you might want to try maybe making some nice lavender cookies and bringing them into work to kind of keep the peace so you don't lose your mind and kill that person. I'm kidding. No, but seriously, it can help to promote a peaceful atmosphere, and peaceful atmospheres are always good. They really are. Okay. Let me just rinse my hands, and I will be right back. Lavender is also a good herb for promoting peace and harmony between, you know, people in a marriage as well. So let's say if you and your spouse have been kind of getting on each other's nerves like a lot, make some lavender sugar cookies. Whether they be like shortbread cookies like I'm going to do, or with the granular sugar, you can make a basic sugar cookie recipe with the lavender. Anyhow, so that is the second part, you know, mixing it up and all that. Then what you want to do is we're going to kind of like make a funnel with our paper plate. And we're going to put all the sugar with the lavender into this nice jar. And then we're going to put the lid on. And we're going to let this sit in a cool, dark place for a good long while. At least 2 weeks. And the sugar and the lavender will sit there together and they'll kind of marry. And what I mean by that is that the sugar will take on the essence, the flavor, the scent of the lavender. And it'll just be lovely. And then you can, you know, assuming you use lavender, you can use other herbs as well. And then you can make some really nice recipes using your sugar, whether it's granulated sugar or powdered sugar like I've just made. And I'm going to be putting this in my pantry after I make this video. But yeah, so that's my 1/2 cup of lavender sugar that I'm making. I will update this video and let you know how this comes along, what I think about it. If, you know, I find that if I find that there's anything lacking or anything I would do differently or something like that, or if I just feel it worked wonderfully, I'll let you know in roughly 2 weeks how that worked out for me. But I did do research online, and that's how I know that that's probably how I'm supposed to go about it. I haven't actually done this before, but everywhere online they pretty much tell you put the herb crushed into the sugar and let it sit there for a good 2 weeks in a cool, dark place so that it infuses. As a final point of note, I just want to mention a few herbs that you may want to try making your own flavored sugars with, and I want to mention a few of the many properties of the herbs that I'm going to mention. Again, these are just some suggestions. These are not all of the herbs you could potentially use for making flavored sugars. Before I show you these herbs and tell you some of their properties, I just want to mention that in making flavored sugars, you probably want to be sure that the herb that you're going to use is edible in large doses. You should be generally familiar with, the herbs that you're going to do something like this with. Be sure that they're safe. Furthermore, you want to be sure that the flavor of the herbs that you will be making these sugars with goes well with sugar and are tasty in general. And I advise using dried herbs. I've seen online that some people make flavored sugars using wet herbs, but I feel that that kind of leaves potential for things to mold over, and maybe we could just avoid that by just going the route of using dried herbs in making our own flavored sugars just to be safe. So, without further ado, let me show you a few of these herbs. And let me tell you some of their many properties. In the DIY that I just showed you, I used lavender. Some qualities of lavender are peace, healing, harmony, or love. Another herb you may want to try making your own flavored sugar with is rosemary. Rosemary tends to be good for purification or love, among other things. Yet another herb you may want to consider is mint. Mint can be good for protection or prosperity. Furthermore, we have cloves. Cloves are good for warding negativity in general. And I also want to show you star anise. Star anise, it's an herb that tends to open the psychic centers. And if you were to make your own flavored sugar using star anise, I recommend taking the little seeds out of the pods and crushing those in your mortar and pestle, using those in your sugar. I don't think you really need the husks, the stars. I think just the seeds would do the trick. And you could also make your own vanilla flavored sugar if you happen to have vanilla beans. You could just put a bean into, a jar of sugar, or some people will actually cut open the beans and scrape the little seeds out into the sugar. That's another option. And vanilla, again, tends to be good for prosperity, love, or comfort. I hope this series about flavored sugars in magical work, I hope that this series has been beneficial to you. Part 1 and Part 2, that's what I'm referring to when I say series. I hope I've given you some ideas. I hope I've taught you some things. If you like these videos, Part 1, or this video, Part 2, please like these videos. Feel free to share them on social media. I welcome you to subscribe to my channel, and I welcome you to join Eva's House of Spirit on Facebook. If you have any questions about any part of working with flavored sugars, please put them in the comment box below, and I'm going to try to answer them as best as I can. And finally, till our next exchange, till the next video, blessed be and Ashe.